the likes of Lennox Lewis came back from massive losses.
Lennox
twice.
is a clown. I don't respect Lennox.
He created a legacy, though.
So am I.
That's what I was about to say. Is this all part of the legacy? Are you aware of how big the legacy is?
Nothing compared to what Lennox is doing. Nothing. Me and Lennox aren't the same. My legacy is to sit back and enjoy the younger generation coming up and not to really be involved. Just appreciate what it takes to get there. Lennox isn't like that. Me and Lennox are cut from a different cloth.
Wow. Breaking point. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I just let you guys listen to a portion of the Sky Sports interview with Anthony Joshua, where he just comes out and calls Lennox Lewis a clown. Senor Payaso. You know, and it's weird because the interviewer, you know, she was basically given a comparison of what Lennox Lewis did when he was British and he lost from massive, you know, defeats and how he comes back. And Anthony Joshua just cut her off. Lennox Lewis is a clown. Just, wow. You know, and I know it's from all the buildup, all the criticism, all the statements, you know, that Lennox Lewis has said over the last year or so, year and a half, you know, about, you know, Deontay Wilder and, you know, how he feels that Anthony Joshua is protected and he feels just comfortable fighting in front of the UK fans versus getting out to America and showing his face over here. And, you know, it it was clearly criticism. We debunked it. We counterpunched it. We, you know, went through case-by-case basis of what Lennox Lewis did and said about Joshua. And Joshua was really quiet. He wasn't that guy to say much. He didn't respond too much to Lennox Lewis. And, you know, and he had criticism coming from everywhere. So I guess it was like one of those things where, well, I won't say certain things, you know. He went as far as saying, well, people say something or they react different when they're in your face. You know, it was subtle. You know what I mean? And now this is not. This is blatant. This is not passive anymore. This is aggressive, right? And I think that Anthony Joshua should have done this a long time ago. I think that he, you know, maybe he was trying to give Lennox the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was just trying to, you know, be too political, play the politician role in the situation, not say too much about people. What he said with his entourage, his friends, his warm market of people. But now, you know, I think the loss has loosened him up. I think the loss has really had him, you know, got him open up to, you know, saying certain things about certain people that normally he wouldn't have if he wouldn't have received that loss. You know, he went on to say that, you know, I'm not worried about Undisputed right now. I'm worried about getting my belts back that I created. I unified the division twice. I within only 22 fights, you know, and, you know, what am I going to do? Even if I get Undisputed shit, what am I going to do? After I get all that, I complete all that, fight Otto Weiland? You know, so he took a jab at Tyson Fury too. Of course, Tyson Fury had his own things to say about Anthony Joshua, which will be explained in a separate video. But if you really look at it, the amount of time, the rapid success that he's been blessed and excelled in, you know, there's really not much to do, honestly. You know, there's really not much to do with his career if he was going to obtain all that. So maybe he should slow down a bit. If he feels that, though, you know, he needs to really focus on not really hand-picking fighters, but really kind of pacing himself beforehand, because, you know, you get a belt, because, I mean, at this time, he's only had, 23 fights, I believe, which is not a slow number, though. You know, you had a lot of fighters by the time there were 20 wins in, then they get to 25 wins, then they talk about getting somewhere, but they had to, you know, reach that plateau at a certain point around that time. So it's not too rapid, you know. But, you know, it's crazy how Lennox Lewis, though, if you look at Lennox Lewis, Joshua does have a point about this. You work for PBC, which is nothing wrong with that, but you work for PBC. Deontay Wilder fights on PBC. You cater to Deontay Wilder, or you don't criticize Deontay Wilder like you criticize Anthony Joshua, and then you call it, you want Anthony Joshua to be open-minded to you, but then you don't give Deontay Wilder a reason to be open-minded when you don't say anything, because you don't say anything about him. And that's the problem in this situation. See, Lennox Lewis had a handful of shit to say about, a mouthful of shit to say about Anthony Joshua. You know, about the money, and he's just not really being fair with the money and the split and all this, right? Now, as soon as this year, that was last year, as soon as they offered Deontay Wilder that $120 million to fight Brazil as mandatory and Anthony Joshua twice, he said the shortest comment that I ever seen anyone say: I would have took the money. That's all he said. Like, what the hell is this? That would have been that could have been his opportunity to criticize, counterpunch Deontay Wilder for not doing the same thing. That's only fair. So you can blatantly see that Lennox Lewis, he just made a comment about it, but he didn't go too far in depth like he went in on Joshua. He went in on this dude, talking about the money, he's not being fair, he's just protected, you know, and he's just trying to see, robbing the fans of what the fight they want to see, worrying about money, he's too much about finances. But as soon as they give and they offer Deontay Wilder that amount of money, Lennox Lewis said, I would have took it. Oh, well, you talked about Joshua, I talked about Joshua, we'll have to talk about Deontay Wilder now. You know, that's only fair. You know how he is, right? He's talking about the money, and the money he needs is $50 million. Now he turns down twice as much. He could have said any of that. He didn't say any of that shit. So that just leads me to believe more that it was just blatant criticism. You know, where Anthony Joshua was in his career, Lennox Lewis probably didn't even obtain that. The ass end of his career, he was respected from the things that he did. And then I think Lennox Lewis personally fucked his career up by not avenging the the quote-unquote moral loss to Vitaly Klitschko. That fight was stopped on a injury. It didn't stop because he won or anything, or he KO'd him and TK'd him. And then he got the fuck out of the sport of boxing. So he took the chicken shit way out, honestly. And I didn't like Lennox Lewis growing up. I didn't really respect him, but neither did the other Americans. Now he's over here acting like, oh, I've arrived. You guys accept me now. Let me shit on the British guy. You see what I'm saying? Like, what's that about? You've been where Anthony Joshua is, but now you're like, you know. Now, he hasn't said everything negative, but he said enough negative things to get this count of this outburst from Anthony Joshua, right? And he let him have it. He's just a clown. Nonchalantly, but, you know, you could tell looking at this interview, I'll leave the link below, of course, that he wanted to set the record straight on how he felt about Lennox Lewis. You know what I'm saying? When he heard Lennox Lewis's name, it triggered some anger. You see what I'm saying? And that's what made him cut that reporter off. Like, nah. Lennox Lewis is a clown. Don't compare me to Lennox Lewis. We're not even the same, right? So don't even go there. I won't be like that with Lennox Lewis. So the question is now, when Anthony Joshua all said and done in the next 15, 20 years, how will he respond to the next British Anthony Joshua, if there is one? That's the question. You know what I mean? But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this interview. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.